What is going on, my guardians? It's I, Birdman, here with another Destiny 2 video, and today I'm showing off a really solid Warlock build that you can use in endgame content, and know that it is completely free to play, so you don't have to have any of the expansions to make this entire setup work. So hooray, very excited about that. But before we get into the video, know you can follow me over on YouTube and Twitter at Birdman778. Make sure you're giving a thumbs up on this video, commenting something you're interested in seeing down below, whether it is Titan, Warlock, or Hunter. Subscribe to the channel and become a member. Now, let's get right on into the setup. Now, we always like to talk about what exotic is going to be important for this setup, and that is going to be the Crown of Tempest. First off, no, you can actually get this if you are a free-to-play player. By going to Ikora. Ray is going to be her arc quest there, so you can just go throughout that entire quest line and get yourself one of these. The armor perk for it is Conduction Tines. Arc ability and Jolt final blows increase the recharge rate of your arc abilities and extend the duration of Storm Trance. Now, this is really great just because it creates a really solid flow between your grenade, your charged melee, and your rift, just kind of like going between all three of them constantly. I have had moments where I'm able to just like constantly click my charged melee and just like fire off a bunch of lightning bolts. It is really freaking fun. So again, know that you can get a quest to get this awesome exotic from Ikora Ray. When it comes to the subclass, we're obviously going to be using the Stormcaller subclass. When it comes to which super you should use, since this one does help out Storm Trance, I recommend using it. It essentially makes you go into a, ghost-like form where you're just shooting a bunch of lightning like your Emperor Palpatine from Star Wars. You will have all of the power, and it'll also be doing that jolting effect constantly, and it's just super freaking fun. Know that this can also overload champions so that you're able to stun them. When it comes to your abilities, I recommend using that Healing Rift just because it's great in a pinch to get your health up, and it really works well with one of the aspects we're using. For our charged melee, I recommend the Ball Lightning over the Chain Lightning, mainly because you're able to fire an arc projectile that releases a lightning strike for a short period of time, and while you're amplified, the Ball Lightning releases additional lightning strikes before detonating. So this is just great for like area of effect and also bosses especially. And for our grenade, I recommend the Pulse Grenade just because it works well with one of our fragments we're using, and it's just great for area of effect. When it comes to our aspects, the first one you're going to want is Electrostatic Mine. Defeating targets with arc abilities or defeating jolted or blinded targets creates an ionic trace, and collecting ionic trace makes you amplified. We want to constantly keep that amplified up, so getting those ionic traces to do that is really great. And one of the weapons I recommend for this setup is able to constantly create those ionic traces, so it kind of has this just great yin-yang effect. And next is going to be Arc Soul. Casting a rift to create an Arc Soul that fires a target in front of you. Allies can pass through your rift and get an Arc Soul for themselves, and your rift charges faster when allies are near, and while amplified, your Arc Souls are supercharged and gain increased fire rate. So it's nice to have that nice little arc buddy that's going to constantly do damage with you, especially against, bigger bosses and stuff like that. For our fragments, I recommend using Spark of Discharge. Arc weapon final blows have a chance to create ionic trace. Again, this is going to be great for constantly giving us that amplification. Spark of Shock, your arc grenade jolts targets. We want to constantly be doing that jolting just because, again, it's great for overload champions, but also just area of effect. Spark of Ions, defeating jolted targets creates an ionic trace. Again, constantly keeping that flow of constantly being amplified. And finally, Spark of Magnitude, your lingering arc grenades, which is going to be Pulse Grenade, have extended duration. So again, we're getting that Pulse Grenade constantly going longer. Now for the weapons, the exotic that I recommend that is totally possible to get in free to play is going to be the Cold Heart. I'm a big fan of trace rifles, and especially the Cold Heart because of the Cold Fusion intrinsic trait. This weapon shoots a steady cold fusion powered arc laser, dealing more damage the longer it remains on a target. So this is great for bossing especially, but the other perk, Longest Winter, periodically generates ionic traces while it's in its high damage state. So again, while we are constantly doing high damage, we are able to get more ionic traces to be amplified and get more energy. Just to note, the Catalyst isn't exactly something you need. All it does is boost up stats. It doesn't add anything else to the weapon. Now, just a quick recommendation, weapons like a Fatebringer that you can get from the Vault of Glass, which is in free to play, have a chance to get Osmosis. Osmosis is a really solid perk for those top slot weapons because of the fact that it's going to give you an element on this weapon based on whatever your grenade ability is for that subclass. Now, when it comes to the mods you're going to be wanting to use for this setup, I have a really terrible, just like entire spread of armor. I need to build up my Warlock a little bit more. So this is pretty much the bare bones of what you would need. First off, on your helmet, I recommend using ashes to assets. We're going to be constantly chucking grenades with this setup. So this is a great way to get you that storm trance back way faster. And then a harmonic siphon so that rapid arc weapon final blows create an orb of power. Again, I mentioned osmosis before. This is a great way to constantly do that because it'll make our weapon arc. When it comes to our gloves, I recommend using a grenade kickstart so that we're able to get armor charges and use that to get our grenade back faster. The more armor charges you have whenever you activate your grenade will give you a certain amount back. And especially with this setup where, you know, all of our abilities are constantly charging us up, you're going to be really always chucking grenades. And then I also think a momentum transfer is great. Causing damage with your grenade reduces your melee so that whenever you are chucking a lingering pulse grenade, you're able to get that electro ball back faster. When it comes to the chest piece, I recommend going double charged up so that you're able to get multiple armor charges, up to 5 that would be, and then just do a harmonic resistance just to get one more mod slot in. For our legs, I recommend doing a recuperation so that whenever we pick up an orb of power, we're getting a little bit of health. A stacks on stacks so that whenever we get a orb of power or an ionic trace, we are getting even more armor charges. You might ask, well, how am I able to get, you know, armor charges from ionic traces? Well, and that's going to be from elemental charge, the final mod. Collecting an ionic trace has an escalating chance to give you an armor charge. So we're going to be constantly creating those ionic traces. So this is a great way to always have those high stacks of armor charge. And finally, on our Warlock bond, I recommend a double distribution just so whenever we activate our class ability in your targets, which is going to be pretty much all the time, we're going to get a nice cooldown and also powerful traction so that we're able to grab all those orbs of power. For our artifact, I recommend grabbing that elemental orb arc so that you're able to constantly chuck those around. That's going to really help out whenever we get into this fourth column with the refreshing pickups. Picking up an elemental orb grants energy to your least powered ability, kind of constantly helping that flow with that. Definitely recommend Elemental Fury so that your abilities or elemental orbs do more damage to champions while they're stunned. And then the final column, Monochromatic Maestro for that damage boost on our weapons matching our subclass, and then also elemental munitions. Whenever we get a kill with an elemental orb, we have a chance to drop special and heavy ammo. Thanks so much for watching the video. Hope you guys really enjoy it. Again, just let me know what are some setups that you're interested in seeing down below in the comment section, whether again that is Warlock, Hunter, or Titan. I am really excited for some of these TWAPs coming up because it's going to be revealing a lot that we're going to be seeing in season 23. So if it's a juicy one, I will likely be doing a video on it. So just keep your eye out on for that. And make sure you follow me over on YouTube and Twitter at Birdman778, liking the video, subscribing, and becoming a member. Thank you so much, guys. I hope you have a great night, day, whatever it may be.